What's up, guys? I'm Chris Reynolds, Charlotte 49er all-time leading passer and professional quarterback. I'm calling all quarterbacks to take their game to the next level, not only physically, but mentally. With 50 career starts and thousands of snaps under my belt, I've experienced many of the do's and don'ts of this game. Join me for a one-on-one quarterback session to improve your biomechanics that allows us to throw with more velocity, accuracy, and efficiency. Have a better understanding of defensive scheme and strategy, and create more efficient footwork. Or join me on Sundays at New Age Athlete from 10 to 11 for a Sunday group recovery and polish to recharge the batteries for a new week. When it comes to film study, I offer in-season, one-on-one, Zoom, or in-person sessions to have a better understanding of how opponents try to attack us and to evaluate your play so we can improve for the following week. All options are on my Calendly link, calendly.com/Chris Reynolds QB, or you can find more information on my Instagram page at Chris Reynolds QB Training. I have a deep passion for this game, and I'm excited to take everything that I learned to take the younger QBs to another level. As always, roll Niners.
Welcome back to the Highway 49 podcast. We are back with episode 93 of the show. And I got to shout out Hannah for the title. This is going to be the Charlotte season wrapped. A ton going on around the program right now, finishing the season 5-7. Amid the firing of Biff Poggi, they're going through all the loops. That is the coaching search that's still ongoing, and we'll dive into that here in a little bit. But as always, let's hit the best thing you've seen this week. Hannah, what you got?
Gosh, I feel like a lot of best things. I mean, last week was Thanksgiving. So that was super fun. Ate a lot of food, probably too much. But I was actually hosting, or our family hosted this year for Thanksgiving, so I got to be the hostess. So different role, but super fun. Yeah, it was just really great to spend time with family and kind of have a chill day, watch the parade. That was super fun. And then I went to High Point on Saturday for hoops. So just grateful to be busy, fun to watch basketball. And then this week we have playoff football for high school, which will be super fun. And then Wake Forest on Saturday. So just grateful to be busy and love this time of year. I saw snow for the first time in a long time in Charlotte. So even if it wasn't much, it was still cool to wake up to and see a little bit on the ground. But Jeremy, what's the best thing you've seen?
Man, I got to play basketball for the first time in a while yesterday. Shout out to the Queen City News guys. I got that right? Charlotte Sports Live, CSL, Mike Lissette. This dude has connections everywhere, apparently. He said, hey, it's cold out. So Gabe McDonald, too, he hit me up. He's like, hey, we're playing basketball indoors Tuesday, 10 a.m. Be there. I was like, hey, you don't have to tell me twice. Pulled up to the gym, got there, and Devontae Graham is just shooting around like former Charlotte Hornet. I'm like, oh, so this is like a
Casual.
this is a real gym we're going to, right? So pulled up there, finally got to wear the KD4 Aunt Pearls that I got a few months back or a month ago. Finally got to hoop in those, but I was looking like '09 Rondo out there, guys. I haven't lost it, haven't lost a step. I'll be at the Jumpman Invitational shoot around in a few
You
weeks
still
too,
got
so
it, ladies and gentlemen.
still got it. So I got to make sure that I put on for all the people at the Jumpman Invitational. But it was just good to play basketball again, get some good cardio, see some colleagues and friends, and meet some new people there. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, I guess the experience was just really good. It was the first time in over a year I've hooped indoors too, and especially with this weather, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be dribbling a basketball in 38-degree weather in the morning. So
No
shout out
shot.
to all the Queen City News guys. Really appreciate that. That's the best thing I've seen. Hunter and the soft man. How about you?
Definitely, man. Yeah, the last time I hooped indoors was the Invitational last year. So if you're guarding Marty Smith or Thomas Davis, good luck, bro. I
I
believe in
told
you.
him. Apparently, Marty was calling every single foul in the book. So first thing I do when I walk in that place, hey yo, I got Marty. Marty,
Yeah,
I'm your
not
matchup. What you
today.
gonna do
Yeah,
about
not
it?
today.
Thomas Davis, I'm your matchup. What you gonna do about it? I might regret saying that.
Yeah, he's gonna put you in the dirt, bro. He was
Watch
trying to
what you
kill. He
say.
was trying to kill Joel Berry out there last year. He was playing football. No doubts. But best thing I've seen Thanksgiving was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I got to see Moana 2, verified classic already. But the coolest thing so far, Spotify Wrapped came out, podcast Wrapped, whatever you want to call it. And we got to see a little bit of the stats kind of behind it. 56% follower growth this year. That's sick. I think it was up 49% last year. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. 248 people is the top five show for. That's pretty sick. And we just appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to us yap, because sometimes it's not, we don't do production meetings. We just get on here and talk ball. So we appreciate y'all tuning in and following along. It's a lot of fun for us to do too. But let's get into it, guys. The not so fun. I tweeted this out the other day. The coaching search around Charlotte is not my favorite side of the reporting gig. You never really know how this is going to go. And I tweeted it. I'd much rather write 2,000 words about a football game and then trim it down to 1,500 because my editor's like, hey, no one wants to read 2,000 words about this. But for me, this is my favorite side of it, the football side. So I do want to talk about kind of the season. We're going to wrap up year two, which didn't finish under Biff Poggi, but did start under him. And it wasn't without some of the drama and theatrics that you would expect with a guy like Biff Poggi in charge. So I want to open it up to you guys. And while we're on kind of the thankful and like best things sides, when you look at this season, I think it's pretty easy to circle the best moment of this season. I think East Carolina is probably the high point for most fans, if not most players and all three of us. But just talk about this season itself. I want to start with Hannah and then get to Jeremy. Obviously, the ups and downs, but what were your kind of highest highs, and then some of the funny parts that you'll take away from 2024?
I think, I mean, we'll start off with the highest highs coming in with such optimism for the season. Obviously we left last season, Biff Poggi year one, and we needed a quarterback. So we went into the transfer portal. We got Max Brown. He was supposed to be the golden boy and looked great. There's a lot of anticipation for him. He looked great early on the season, obviously with all the theatrics, dramatics. He got injured. Um, to think that we would have ended the season with Deshaun Purdy, I don't think any of us expected this outcome and the way the season to have gone the way that it did. And it's just kind of funny just looking back and just seeing all of the great moments. And there were a lot of great moments. Like this team was completely different this year than year one. ECU was a great moment. That was probably the highest of highs for this team. And to close it off, UAB with a win, I think is also a high. I was sad I couldn't be at that game, but I mean, even they had great moments away on the road. I mean, Chapel Hill was probably a great moment. I mean, on national television to get that close to a really great team. I mean, kind of a great moment for them. And there was just a lot that really went down. I mean, I'm happy for Coach Brewster to get those two wins in his interim season. Yeah, just overall, I think it went better than the first year in the Biff Poggi era. I'm sad that it ended that way for him, but he wasn't the direction that I feel like this program needed to go. But overall, just we're still on the continuing path of growing, developing, trying to find someone who's the right fit to really elevate this program to the next level.
Yeah, for me, we always talked before the season started. We did like offensive MVPs and all this stuff. And the big question mark was the offense and the wide receiver unit, like, oh,
Yeah.
is their production going to come from? And then shout out to Matt Alkiza again, doing the whole like Tom Brady, Randy Moss thing, because that's kind
It's
of the highest thing for
hilarious,
me.
bro.
So
Yeah.
funny where Omega Blake and Deshaun Purdy. Omega doesn't have that many catches. It's just every catch he has is a bomb. And I was about to say something, but I remember the guy called me out for my vulgar talk, so had to catch myself real quick there. But yeah, just seeing those two was really cool to see the maturation of Deshaun game by game. Didn't really get to hear him speak that much, even after his, ugh, whew, okay. Didn't get to hear
Sirens.
him. Yeah, didn't get to hear him talk that much, but near the end, we got to get some more, Deshaun Purdy interviews, and Hunter, you got to talk to him a little bit more. That was really cool. And then Also, the Chris Reynolds pods, man. Like, I love
Yeah.
sitting in that studio and just being a sponge and watching this guy just, you can see his like brain, like his prefrontal cortex just like light up as you could, he's just talking ball, right? And that's kind of a good segue for what I want to talk to, about before I throw this back to Hunter. And before I say this, if the shoe fits, I apologize in advance. Don't get mad at me. We talked about Mace already. But I want to talk about real things. What we do on this pod is talk about the X's and O's. We talk about game previews and game recaps and the macro versus micro, tangible things that you see. What I don't like doing is diving headfirst into a rumor pool. Everyone doesn't have to be Sham Charania. It's okay. If a coach is spotted at an airport, don't tell me. I don't care. If a coach is at a restaurant in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or he's at a Red Lobster and who knows where in Fayetteville, I don't care. Per
Man, you love
sources,
Red Lobster.
take your per sources and shove it in the trash. I don't care, right? You guys have always, not you guys, but like this fan base has repeatedly said this has to be a home run hire for Mike. If that's the case, then stop trying to do his job for him. Let him do his job, okay? Let Mike Hill make the hire, take the time. The App State job opened up, UNC job opened up, West Virginia job opened up. Truly, I think if those three things doesn't happen, Charlotte has their head coach right now, but things happen. A lot of scenarios keep popping up. And I fully realize that a lot of people clicked on this pod to hear like speculation talk and, oh, what's the next tidbit that we can find out from the Highway 49 podcast with Hunter Bailey? But I got nothing for y'all, truly. With that being said, Hunter, I'd love to hear what tangible things you've heard, what credible things you've heard, and not just per sources that some guy pulled into a car wash in a certain city and that we should be expecting him to be the next head coach of Charlotte football.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to address something really fast yesterday. So I was on Wes and Walker, and we got to yapping about the college, the whole search, and that was exactly what, like, I was thinking it was an 18, 20-minute show, and the whole thing is about that. And I said to him on there, this isn't really my side of the house, and it never has been, right? Like, even when the Biff Poggi was hire came, I'm on record for saying I had no idea who he was. He didn't have a Wikipedia page. I thought his name was a sandwich. Like, there's a lot going on there. So this is the most involved that I've ever been in a coaching search, and I will tell y'all I fucking hate it, and I'll probably bleep that. Um, this side of the game is so much burning bridges and asking people for information, and that's not really the side that I care about. Jeremy kind of just illustrated that. One thing I will say is I'm not going to say something without someone that I trust feeding me that information. I'm not going to double down on something at all without people, like I say, people that I really trust. And I'm not going to burn bridges. Like, we've shared information all off air for years that stays off air because I'm not burning bridges about people. I'm not hurting relationships. That's not what I'm in this game for, guys. I have a full-time job. Jeremy watches me live a double life like most weeks, bro. It's
Yo,
honestly
quickly,
hilarious.
I'm like picking Hunter up for a Hornets presser, and he's walking out of his job, and it's just so funny how it really is two different lives, and having to be like people hitting Hunter up while like, oh my God, what's the new thing? What's the new thing? It's like, dog, I'm working on a project that has a deadline due today. Like,
Yeah.
get off my, yeah, crazy.
And I said this to some friends in jest yesterday, but I mean it. Like, it'll have to get to a point with this industry where I'm all the way in it or I'm all the way out as far as the breaking news side. I love football, right? I'm never going to not want to talk about football with people, whether it's on a podcast or just shooting the shit with my friends. So the whole credibility side is frustrating because you worked for years to build something, and one question that you have to kind of dance around can fuck that up. And in my opinion, it was tough. And Walker and I talked about it. Walker's a great dude. I love the people of that show. And just to clear this up, Mike Hill and I have a great relationship. We have always been have we've always had open communication. He's a good dude, and I double down on rooting for Mike and hoping he has success finding this hire because, as we've talked about on this pod, that's what we want. We want there to be good stories to cover. We want there to be good things to talk about with this program. As far as the best thing I've seen this season, Jeremy, you stole mine, bro. So no, I'm just kidding. But Chris Reynolds being on this pod is probably my favorite thing, and he's going to come on the show next week. And we're going to talk about what did happen this season as far as the entirety of the season, the quarterback play specifically, break down to Sean Purdy. And obviously, there's a lot in the air, whether he's going to be here, whether he's not. But we're still going to talk about the product Charlotte put on the field. And I think this season was a little bit of a season of growth for them, even though they went 5-7, even though they didn't get to the bowl game. I mean, they nearly totaled their past two season win total. This is 5-7. It doesn't look great, and it really never looked great out of the gates. I mean, you go into the season down 8 or 9 starters, and then you end up 1-4, 1-5, or not 1-4, 1-3, and you're battling back to try and make something out of your season. So it was a lot of ups and downs, but 5-7 is actually tied for the second best record this program has seen. So while it is right, it's still not a high watermark, right? They have one winning season, 7-6 in 2019. As far as the tangible stuff with the coaching hire, there's a ton going on, right? There's a lot of toes getting stepped on. There's a lot of stuff, reports that come out that basically like blow up people's spots, right? The story that I put out Sunday and goes back to like why I don't like the breaking news side of the game is like that probably went astray with part of the hires. This stuff getting out to the public. Football Scoop reports it the same hour. People sharing the information. It's never like a one-way street with that stuff. It's always going to be all this back and forth, and you don't know what is true and what's not. So just know, and the conversation I had with Mike Hill yesterday, right after the WFNZ call, don't believe everything you read on the internet. The same thing happened with the Biff Poggi hire. Biff Poggi was not a finalist 2 weeks before in that job. And boom, here he comes out of left field to take over the Charlotte 49ers and become the program's third head coach. We could talk about Kerwin Bell. We can talk about Bobby Petrino, Tony Gibson, Tim Albin, you name it. Like, I'm shocked some of these names aren't in there, but we talked about Joe Cox. We talked about Alex Atkins. But at the same time, this is a coaching hire that they know they have to get right. And I think they know it doesn't make any sense to just rush to get someone. Because what is the first thing that Mike said when we asked him? He said, I want someone that wants the Charlotte job. They don't just want the stepping stone just to get to where they're going to go. He wants someone that actually cares about Charlotte. And that's, you have to find people that have the morals in that side of the house because not everyone does in college football, guys. This is a dog eat dog world. This is big business at a collegiate level. Jeremy, I want to ask you this. When you see this search unfolding, is it something that like you see so many people just clamoring for information, but we're ready to get to the point where we're just talking about who it is and what it's gonna mean for the program. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, what's your question?
As far as just wanting to get to the end of this already, like
Oh yeah, I can't wait till this is over. Um,
yeah,
I want to go to the introductory press conference and hear cliche phrases and rah-rah words and see the donors salivating and being like, this is the guy. I can't wait. And then hop on this pod and say, don't read into it too much. Wait till we see the product on the field. That's what I care about. The whole, again, the speculation thing irks me so bad. And I get it because in this field, in this industry, a lot of what can make someone is being first to something, right? If
yeah,
you, me, I have 450 followers on Twitter. I get it. Like I'm a very small fish in this pond. And there are a lot of people in my shoes who'd be like, oh, I've got to try and do this because if I get it right, it gives me credibility and it gets my name out there. I don't care. It doesn't matter because one way or another, the hire is going to be made. Either you're right
yep.
or wrong. And then we're going to be right back to square one. And I just can't wait to, like we've always talked about, talking about tangible things with Hannah Brady and Hunter Bailey. That's what I care about. So the hire will be made. The fact that people want it to be rushed because National Signing Day, you don't want to do that too. If you're going to hire a coach and want him to be here for 4, 5, 6 years, but you decided to rush it because, oh my gosh, the signing day happens today or yesterday, that's on you. I truly think Mike is taking his time here. And you guys have been on his ass for how long saying this has to be, again, a home run, not a triple, not a double, not whatever. A home run or a grand slam is what it has to be. And if that's the case, don't rush it. Don't take what blank or blank or blank are saying on Twitter and
Yeah.
take it to heart and use that in your coaching search. It does not matter. That's all I got. Hannah, what you got?
Yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. And especially in this generation, we live in a world where we want everything when we want it. We want it now. We don't want to wait, we want it now. And for Niner Nation, like it's about waiting for the best hire. I mean, who knows when it's going to happen? Obviously, we want it to be over with so we can get to the press conference, we can meet them, we can talk about it, we can hash it out, we can go through the logistics of everything and kind of give you guys the information. But at the same time, do you want the best hire? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Do you want this program to be successful? Do you want it to be the right person for the job? Because I mean, like Hunter said, it's about who wants to be at Charlotte. That's first and foremost. Like if you want somebody that's genuinely going to bring this program forward, it's going to have to be someone with great morals who really cares about the program, cares about Charlotte, wants to be here, not get to the next job, something that's better. Someone who wants to build here and wants to stay here for a long time, I think is the most important thing. And it's gonna take a little bit of time. That's why it's taking a little bit longer. So just be patient. And hopefully I fully trust Mike Hill to make the right decision because it's a big decision, especially um, for his third hire. So
Oh my God. I saw Bobby Petrino's Carfax statement and it says that like what are we doing here, guys? Taking pictures of people at a certain destination, stop it. What we want to do is when the hire is made, and Mike said he wants it to be an X's and O's guy, right? One side of the ball, another, a savant, a specialist. We want to have Chris Reynolds on the pod and say, hey, go through some of this guy's scheme. Show us what offensive looks he's giving. What does he like to do? Is he a West Coast air raid? Is he running down your throat? What's he doing? If it's defense, hey, maybe have Osborne on or somebody and say, what do you see from this guy on the defensive side of the ball? Those are things we want to talk about on this pod, not the other stuff. With that being said, I do want to bring this up, and I don't know if it's the right time, but I might as well. There's a lot of players saying like hashtag bring back Brew and hire Brew and all these things going on. I'm just I don't want to see what happened with Charlotte basketball happen to Charlotte football. And this has nothing to do with Aaron Fern. What I mean is when Fern got that job, right? A lot of the players said, I stayed for Fern. They had the best season in a while, and then they leave, right? I don't want Deshaun Purdy to tweet, bring back Brew, do whatever, and then he still goes to the portal. Because what Brew has said about Deshaun, nothing but glowing things. He's our Superman. He's our leader. We go where he goes. So Brew is like, hey, if I'm taking this job, Deshaun, I need you with me. Omega, I need you with me, right? Those are important things too. You don't want to hire the interim and then the people that they had in place aren't there if they do get the job. So there's a lot of things swirling around to lose in a lot of these situations and scenarios. But Hunter, what do you think about that too? Because it's tough seeing all the people hitting the transfer portal, but at the same time, you can't blame them because when you look at Nakai Hill Green and Demetrius Knight as blueprints, or you look at Ali Khalifa and Bryce Williams' blueprints, they were offered something that Charlotte couldn't offer at that time, which was for the basketball side, a chance at the big dance. They got that. On the football side, Colorado, they had huge exposure for Nakai. South Carolina just beat Clemson, who's now going to the ACC championship. Those are things that maybe players at Charlotte can't be offered or given that other teams can give, but at the same time, I want to see some type of structure stay here in place for next season.
So that's the thing. So Brew, everything that I understand, Brew is the best chance to keep a semblance of the team together. And that's including some of the people that have hit the portal. Now, others that have hit the portal, like Dante Balfour, for example, I'm not going to speak on his decision because I don't know it. But he is good enough to play pretty much wherever he wants to play, right? Most ACC schools, some SEC, some Big Ten schools, he can get that kind of look. I mean, he tied the pass breakup record here 2 years in a row, had a couple picks each season. Is probably the best corner this team has seen. Not to mention he's a good dude. But I want to like illustrate to y'all how easily like Brew could not be in the mix, right? They had 2 games left on the schedule. We told you guys before this, these are the easiest 2 games of the season, right? And this was part of the reason Biff Poggi was frustrated that he was fired when it was, or when he was, is because this is, I mean, you're, what, I think it's 2-10 FAU and
The
3 and
cookie
9.
cutter part of the schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 and 9 UAB. So they go to FAU, and that's a game all the way down to the wire. The scoreboard does not suggest how close that game was. There's a big man touchdown in the final minutes of the game that really seals it. And you got to shout out Charlotte for making that play because they didn't make that play against Memphis earlier in the season. But then you get to thinking about this is Memphis and this is FAU. So these are part of the reasons in the equation. And then you play UAB. And the offense doesn't look anything like it looked the week before, where they had no three and outs. The quarterback threw for 400 and 3 touchdowns. Then you play UAB. It's a ton of up and down. You're down at the half. They made decisions that they would not have made with Biff Poggi. Like, clear example, there's 20 seconds left before the half. You're down 14-10, and you're coming off a 15-yard penalty off your kickoff. So you have the ball at the 10. And instead of taking a knee, which I promise you guys, Biff Poggi is taking a knee in that spot, they throw 2 or 3 deep balls in a row and get a field goal with no time left. That changes the game and that wins them the game. If you think about it, they won by 2. That play at the end of the first half changes everything. But then at the end of the game, UAB's place kicker, forgive me, I don't know his name right now. I do know he won the special teams player of the year in the league. Misses 2 straight field goals, misses a 35-yarder. Ali leaps over the line of scrimmage, gets flagged, which I didn't know was a flag personally. So he misses that when he hooks it. They get an even shorter kick, a 27-yard field goal. This is chip shot. This is shorter than an extra point in the NFL. And he misses it again, hooks it left. And so it goes like this super roller coaster of emotions for Brewster, for the team, to wow, we just won, to wow, they're going to lose on a penalty at home and this is over, to wow, they somehow won the game. So it's like you beat 2 really bad teams. It was great for the program. I loved seeing the kids happy, right? That's really what a lot of this is about. But it could have very easily went left, and Tim Brewster is not in the mix for this. So Brewster has the best chance to keep the program together. I'll keep clear as far as the current construction, which, as we watched this year, was not a very good football team. They could have been 2-10. They could have been 1-11, really, with that one win being ECU. At the same time, they had some opportunities to be that 6-6 football team if everything broke right for them. And most stuff did. I mean, guys, they won 2 games off of missed chip shot field goals. They beat Rice off a 40-yard field goal that missed with another solid kicker. Gardner Webb blew a huge 17-point advantage in the third quarter, and the third string quarterback had to save Biff Poggi's job in week 3. So there's a lot of up and downs in this. Like I say, Tim Brewster probably is the best chance to keep Deshaun Purdy. As I've reported multiple times, there are Power 4 programs in on this kid because of what he put on film this year. His relationship with Mike Miller is key in this. Mike Miller is the only coach that's on or under contract for another year. Every other position coach, coordinator is an at-will coach, which means you can be fired. Whoever comes in, they would have to buy Mike Miller out, not the other coaches. So he's the only coach that I think maybe has a chance as far as being retained, even if there is a new head man that's not Brew, which obviously there's a ton that goes behind the scenes there. But I do want to peel the curtain back really fast on the breaking news side, and then I want to move off it completely. When I put the story out Sunday of the 3 finalists being Petrino, Tony Gibson, and Tim Brewster, that was where it was at the time. But obviously things in college football blow up, just like Jeremy said earlier. The app job's open, Carolina's open, ECU is just filled, Davidson's looking for a coach. There's so much back and forth that when someone is going to publicly turn down a job, one thing I know for sure is there's not a lot of offers on the table that you don't know you're getting 100% yes to, because there's egos involved, guys. These are grown men. No one wants to get their dirty laundry aired out like this. So there's not a lot of paper trails on this side of the game. A lot of stuff is hearsay. A lot of stuff is agent talk. And what would Mike Hill say? Back channel conversations. That's all this stuff is. You get so much out of one tweet from someone. And then we got reporters quoting team reporters' tweets and saying they have sources in the university. Do better, bro. It's all right. Part of the game is And just as I mentioned, it's all about people that you trust. And burning bridges is not a fun side of the game. That's why I say I don't like it. I don't love this side of the house. So whoever they hire, and one thing really fast, Jeremy, whoever they hire, I would like to see Tim Albin from Ohio get the job. I think this search is going to keep going at least through the weekend. Ohio's playing in the MAC championship. The dude's a hell of a coach, but he's been there for 20 years. So leaving somewhere you've been for 20 years for what seems like an unstable job at Charlotte that's fired their second coach in less than 2 years, I don't know the math on that.
I'm glad you mentioned like kind of some smoke screen stuff too, because I think that's important. Whenever the NFL draft happens or whatever, coaching searches, you a lot of times, and being in this industry, you kind of figure this out. Like there are people who just give you false stuff
Oh,
just
yeah.
to further their agendas, right? So if
Mike
someone is like,
Houston is
hey,
a prime example of that.
exactly, right? Like, oh, let me use this reporter and make him think that he's doing a great job here. But really, I'm just exploiting him, using him as leverage for what I really want. So
Yep.
all of that, that like you said, those back channel stuff and all this gaming and all y'all can have it. I'll sit on the
Yep.
sidelines. I'll wait till it gets announced, and when it gets announced, we will have a great podcast and we will be recapping everything. We might have Mike on again to talk about the ins and outs of how it happened. We might have the head coach on. Who knows? But this pod won't be just consumed with speculation talk.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing before we kind of wrap this. I would say there's between 5 and 7 programs in the country that get their number one option at head coach that they can chalk up and say, this is our guy. This is who we want, and the interest is mutual, and he's coming. Charlotte is not one of those schools, guys. Charlotte is in the bottom of the AAC if we're being for real. They really are. If the app job's open, if the Carolina job's open, this is one of the third or fourth best open jobs in the state right now. So you got to temper expectations a little bit, taper expectations, because not every name out there is really going to take this job. And you look at Bobby Petrino as someone that is one of those people.
And the last thing I'll say is coaches aren't just looking at the job, they're looking at the area and they're looking at the collective. And we just said, how do you keep a guy like Purdy, the collective? How do you keep, or how do you go and get some transfer guys in the portal, the collective? So if a coach is looking at Charlotte and they're saying, oh, well, I like I like the bones, I like the structure. They're having a stadium expansion. The fans are diehard. Like you guys are why we do this. You guys are great fans. And coming from a
Absolutely.
big ACC school in Florida State, I haven't even seen them go to bat like Charlotte fans, like Niner Nation. Truly, like that is the utmost compliment I can give to you guys because you're great. With that being said, though, that collective ain't doing it. Coaches are looking at you and being like, I'm a pass. Chapel Hill, right? App State. That's what they're kind of looking for. So right now, we just got to be patient.
Yeah, no doubt, man. The NIL side of the game is gigantic. But I want to kind of wrap up and just kind of recap what we have going on with the pod. All three of us are super busy people. Like it's very fun in this industry, and we've talked about it on here before. But I just kind of want to open up to you guys. Hannah, what do you have going on? I know you're doing ACC hoops now. You're doing all across the globe college football. So
Whoop,
talk to
whoop.
us. That's
Yeah,
big shit. Like
yeah,
we
I'm excited. November was definitely a whirlwind. December is kind of a little bit more relaxed, which is nice. I'll be doing a lot of sideline for Queens women's basketball. That'll carry over into next year, all the way until March. Um, I think my first game back for Charlotte men's basketball is New Year's Eve. So that'll start back and carry over into March. Wake men's basketball. So I'm doing in-arena hosting for men's basketball. So that'll be super fun to watch ACC basketball. They have a lot of fun opponents coming in to the Joel this season. I get to use my personality a little bit more instead of, just being in front of the camera reporting. So I haven't done that since I worked at the Knights. So I'm just super excited for that. And then I'm doing state championship games at NC State for high school football. So 1A, 3A, I'll be there December 21st, freezing my butt off. So I'm excited. Football doesn't end for me until December 21st. So I'm super excited for that because I don't want football to ever end. It's my favorite time of the year. I especially love like crossover season. I just think it's so fun. It's a lot of work, obviously, for all of us because we're covering so many different teams. I got to go to the Panthers game on Sunday. That was a heartbreaker for me.
Damn.
But I bought tickets for my dad because he's a Clemson fan. And so am I. But I bought tickets for us to go to the ACC championship game on Saturday night. So we're gonna freeze our butts off, but it's gonna be super fun. So I'm excited. But Jeremy, what you got going on in December?
Hunter, you and I are gonna be watching TV one day and hit the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, sitting pointing at the TV like we know that girl, we know Hannah. She was on
And
the Highway 49 pod.
hopefully you guys will be right there with me.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
hey, we appreciate that.
Yeah,
Speaking of Clemson, I'll be at the ACC championship game covering that on Saturday.
amazing.
Um, Not a huge tennis guy. I won a ton of money off Naomi Osaka during COVID. Shout out to Naomi Osaka. Just
Love that.
on like singles, she was making me bread. She was getting me through the COVID times in college. But I'll be doing a Charlotte Invitational covering that as well. Carlos Alcaraz, Francis Tiafoe will be there, Sloane Stevens, and there's one more person I'm forgetting. I apologize. Um, Talking to Hunter about it yesterday. I don't know how they're gonna play in Spectrum Center. I guess we'll just wait and find out. So tennis, ACC championship. In 2 weeks, I'll be at the Jumpman Invitational, the annual thing they do. Like we talked about, Marty Smith, I'm gonna clamp
Mhm.
your ass down. I can't wait to do that.
Someone
Um,
clip this.
Clip that and send it to him right now. I'm gonna turn into what to 2012 Tony Allen on that guy. He has no clue what's coming for him.
I need to
Um,
see this.
yeah, right. And then
Make a highlight for you.
yeah. I'm gonna hit him with a little post midi fade. Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait. But Hornets still going on, going to all the Hornets home games with Hunter. If you hear my voice in the post game interview, one of them kind of got clipped and went around on Twitter because I asked LaMelo a question and he was like, I don't know. I just kind of do what the coaches tell me for real. And everyone was just like, yo, he gave me two thumbs up. It was so funny. I had people texting me like, dog, like, is that your voice? That's got to be you, right? I was like, yeah,
Oh,
that was me. He dubbed the hell out of me. Shout out to
he's
LaMelo.
famous.
Shout out to LaMelo though. But a lot of stuff happening, like Hannah said. We're getting busier. We'll try and get to some Charlotte basketball. It's tough again because like I used to live really close to the arena. Now moving into the city, it's a little harder to get there, especially on like a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. But definitely want to still cover Charlotte things. But just appreciate the support. And you guys have been growing with us as you've seen us, our maturation through the years too. So it's been really cool just having this fan experience and very grateful for all of you guys. And Hunter, how about you?
Yeah, definitely, man. Working on a story right now for Brian Battle, local fighter in the UFC. He's fighting this weekend. It's a big fight for him. He's fighting Randy Brown. It's probably one of his bigger tests. Last time we saw him, he knocked out the French dude in France and then gave the double birds to the camera. So one thing he's gonna do is put on a show. So definitely check out that story in the Observer. He was on the pod. He's fighting this Saturday, so if you guys want to check out the pod, it's maybe 10 or 12 episodes ago. But great dude. And as Jeremy said, Hornets has been a ton of fun. I pinch hit for the Observer time to time, and then obviously we talk about it on here quite a bit. And whether that's Jerry or Matt or other folks that'll come on the pod as well to talk Hornets, I love that side of the house. That it's really nice to see like a good PR team and kind of how they operate, and just overall a fun atmosphere. So a lot of fun there, and it is kind of like when college football ends, it's always a little bittersweet. Like there hasn't been a really fun season since I'd say 21 when they beat Duke and were 5-5 at one point and had the opportunity to make a bowl game. But still, when it ends, even after a couple coach firings, the season itself is fun. Seeing how the players interact is always a good time, and then building the relationships, which, as we've talked about on here, is probably the most fun. So people that you see hitting the portal that maybe won't play in Charlotte next year, they're probably still going to come on the pod. We've always done that. We're never really going to stop because that's the fun side of the business, is the people. So, as Jeremy said, I want to say it again. Appreciate you guys tuning in. It makes the show all worth it.
Yeah, I forgot what the exact stats were, Hunter. You said it was like 46% growth last year, 54,
56, 56.
56 this year. We want to keep that number going up. So as we head into 2025, we want you guys to let us know what can we work on? What content do you want to see from us? Do you want to see more interviews? Do you want to see more Chris Reynolds stuff? Like, what type of things do you want? Maybe we could have, Deshaun Purdy do a thing where he's talking us through what he's seeing, or, just anything like that. Because we want to keep giving you guys great content. So just let us know. 2025 looks to be a great year for all of us, and can't wait.